In this video, we're going to be talking about an analogy for every procedure in life, basically every procedure. It boils down to three specific stages. In chess, we have a specific name for each specific stage. However, I would like to simply refer to them as the opening, the middle, and the end. Now, for chess, we're going to first look at the opening stage. In the opening stage, the general consensus in chess is you want to control as much of the board as possible. You would like to shove your force into the center of the board. This is why the most popular first moves in chess for white is going to be 1d4, 1e4, and possibly knight f3. This is because you can control two key squares in the opponent's side of the board with either pawn move. You're controlling one c5 and one e5 if you push d4 first. You're controlling d5 and f5 if you push e4 first. This restricts the opponent's movement and as well provides a springboard for yourself, enabling future moves. Well, in other scenarios, for example, in movies or in writing, the situation is going to be slightly different. What you want to do in the opening is you want to have a hook. The hook comes even before your thesis and your argumentation and the roadmap that you're going to present to your audience. The hook is the thing that keeps them on board with you. It's the thing that keeps them on track of what you're trying to discuss and makes them convinced that what you're trying to discuss is actually worth their attention. Here we have the opening scene from the movie The Godfather, and Don Corleone, in the synergy he has with the man kissing his hand, we see that almost immediately he is exposited as a man of power, a man of possibly great wealth. And we know that from this exposition and this opening that possibly the man has something to ask of Don Corleone. And already we can see that the stage on which the story may play out has been set for us. After the opening, however, we're going to move on into the middle game. But before that, we'll do a quick recap. Essentially, what you want to do in the opening is you need to establish control. You're going to set the stage for what you're going to be talking about. You're going to be setting the pace. You're going to be expositing the main characters. And as such, if you're trying to write, if you're trying to play chess, you're going to shove all the forces you have into the center of the board to maintain as much control as you have. And after this, we're going to have the middle game. This position is from one of the games that I've played. You can see that right now some of the pieces have been traded and the king has castled. We see some major pieces are going to be traded further on into the game, and the game is still relatively stable. What happens is the middle game is that you employ everything that you have. You are completely out of theory because the opening stage is past. You used all of your preemptive knowledge and now you're on your own. You may choose to employ certain strategies or certain tactics. You may also want to use some creativity and avoid being predictable, but that's for a future lesson. Simply in chess, the middle game boils down to the fact of outplotting your opponent, either overwhelming them in an attack that's built up nicely in your starter, or simply holding your position, making it defensive so that the opponent can't break through, and looking for breaks in the opponent's position yourself. In Freytag's pyramid, we can simply simplify the situation as to the entirety of rising action, climax, and falling action can be combined to be the middle game. This is essentially how you would narrate the extent of your story, what the conflict is, expand on the conflict, and find a piece that your characters would find a place for them to develop their personality, either through resolving the climax or simply through moving through the plot and interpersonal dynamics. At the end of Freytag's pyramid and at the end of the middle game, it boils down to the concept of building off of the preparation that you have in the beginning and maintaining a strong forward motion. You deploy the strategies and tactics you employ certain creativity aspects into your gameplay or into your writing, and you try to avoid being predictable. And after the middle game, if you have successfully employed the tactics, if you successfully manage to push everything you have forward and develop your plot, you come to the end game. Now, from my game over here, we can see that in this endgame, I have the opportunity to sacrifice my bishop on d7 in exchange for a perpetual check. Now, this conversion was quite clear because, as you can see, in this position, most of the major pieces have been traded. Normally, in an endgame, you would want to see the major pieces traded, and if you have an advantage, you would push your pawns forward to the end line so that they can be promoted. In movies or in books, the end or the denouement is possibly the place where everything finally comes to a resolution. People will want to see what has happened after the intense plot or after an intriguing hook. The movie Shawshank's Redemption does an extremely good job of this. We see that at the end of his tunneling career for possibly 20, 30 years, Shawshank manages to achieve freedom, and here he stands under the rain, holding his arms out to the sky. People would love to see this scene simply because it's a great resolution to the plot, the turmoil that they've seen the prisoner go through. It's a great finish to the intriguing hook that we see at the beginning of the story. To clarify, the end is simply about securing the win. If you're trying to write, it's about finishing strong. You leave your reader or you leave your opponent with the sense that you were in control of the situation as much during the opening as you were during the end. And so this, in essence, is the stage for everything. You have an opening, you have the middle, and you have the end. If you manage to control your pace during each of the three processes, it is more likely that you will be able to control every endeavor that you make and that you will be able to be more confident during every endeavor.